There are two basic approaches to painting: direct painting and indirect painting. With direct painting, light hits that top opaque layer and bounces right back. You see the basic color combinations and qualities. An indirect painting is built up of layers of paint that do not mix, but rather sit on top of one another. The light travels through the layers of paint and refracts, disperses, and diffuses. Now, one method isn't necessarily right or wrong or better than the other. It's all about how you want to express your subject matter and how you want it to be perceived. I love the freedom that comes from direct painting and the satisfaction that comes from completing something in one go. Now, that's not to say that direct painting is faster or easier. It takes practice to do it well. Focus must be on how the colors are going to initially mix with one another rather than how they will sit on top of one another. Knowing how colors mix can be just as difficult as knowing how they will interact when layered. It's just a different approach. I tend to favor indirect painting. This requires a bit more planning and thought about how the colors are going to layer on top of one another, and patience because it takes a long time for those initial layers to dry before they can be painted over. With indirect painting, you get this unrivaled interplay of glow and these beautiful translucent shadows and this depth and chroma and luminosity that really can't be achieved with direct painting. Indirect painting usually begins with an underpainting. People often see me toning a canvas and wonder why I'm bothering to create this usually monotone sort of map of my painting. Imprimatura, or the underpainting, is a single color thinned with turpentine and applied to your surface. This allows you to map out your values and focus on the basic building blocks of your composition. It simplifies for you. The underpainting may even end up peeking out from your final composition and affects the colors that you're going to layer on top. A glaze of alizarin isn't going to look the same over white as it will over green, as it will over orange, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot you can do with your layer or layers of underpainting. You don't always have to just brush on some wash of that single color. Typically, you want to use earth tones such as burnt sienna because they are chemically the most stable and dry quickly. I've experimented with layering different tones to achieve a certain perspective. For example, if I want something in my painting to appear farther away or darker, I would glaze a layer of complementary colors. When you're ready to begin layering, always remember the fat over lean rule and to mix your ratios of mediums properly. Direct painting and indirect painting isn't simply limited to oil paints. We can use both methods with an array of materials and mediums. I tend to favor oil paint and other pigment-based medium, such as watercolor and pastels, because I feel like they just produce higher quality work. Most of these mediums are made using organic substances, as opposed to acrylic paint, which are essentially made of plastic and are horrible for the environment. Whatever medium you choose and whatever approach you take, it is important to have a fundamental understanding of the chemical and compositional qualities of the paint or materials you're working with.